I was sitting in my cramped office at 2 in the morning, staring at financial reports that should have made me proud. My company was thriving. The numbers glowed on my laptop screen like little victories. Then my phone buzzed. A text from Mom lit up the darkness. "We need to talk about your brother. It is urgent." That familiar knot formed in my stomach. I had felt it before 12 years ago when another message arrived. Back then, they announced they were giving our family business to Derek. He was the oldest son, the natural leader, they said. And me, I was too cautious, too analytical, too much spreadsheet, not enough personality. I did not know then that this would be the beginning of the most painful and ultimately liberating chapter of my life. Before I take you through what happened next, I want to hear from you. Drop a comment below and let me know where you are watching from. If you have ever felt underestimated by your own family, hit that like button because you are not alone. And subscribe, because what my family did next, it was not just about business anymore. It was about respect, loyalty, and the moment I realized blood does not always mean family. Let me start from the beginning, the day everything changed. 12 years ago, I was 20 years old, and Johnson and Sons Hardware Supply was everything to me. It had been in our family for 3 generations. My grandfather started it with a single storefront in Portland, Oregon. My father, Frank Johnson, built it into something bigger. 3 locations across the city. Revenue hitting around $2 million annually. 24 employees who felt like extended family. It was not glamorous, but it was solid. It was ours. I grew up in those warehouses. At 15, I was stacking lumber and learning inventory systems. While other kids spent summers at the beach, I was in the back office watching Dad negotiate with suppliers. When I got to Portland State University, I chose business administration, not because someone told me to, but because I wanted to understand every angle of what made a company work. I spent my summer breaks interning at an accounting firm, learning financial management, cost analysis, profit margins. Every night, I came home with new ideas. I remember sitting at the dinner table, maybe 18 years old, telling Dad about inventory management software that could cut waste by 15%. He smiled at me over his coffee. "Good ideas, son. We will think about it." But we never did. I suggested a customer loyalty program. "We will think about it." I drew up plans for an online sales platform. "We will think about it." Every idea met the same gentle wall. My brother Derek was different. 3 years older than me, he had this magnetic thing about him. People liked him instantly. He could walk into a room and own it within minutes. He dropped out of college after 2 semesters because sitting in classrooms bored him. "I learn better in the real world," he told Dad, and Dad believed him. Derek came to work in sales. He was good at closing deals with big contractors, taking them out for drinks, slapping backs, telling jokes. The customers loved him. But I noticed things. Derek did not understand logistics. He would promise delivery dates without checking our inventory. He did not know our margins, so sometimes he would discount so deep we barely broke even. And he spent freely on the company card. Dinners that stretched past midnight. Golf outings that cost more than our weekly payroll. When I mentioned it once, Dad waved it off. "That is how you build relationships in this business, Mario." I told myself it would balance out. Derek brought in customers. I would handle the operations. Together, we would take over someday. I spent a year creating a 5-year development plan. charts, projections, market analysis. I imagined the moment Dad would hand us both the keys and say, "It is yours now, both of you." That Sunday evening, I brought my plan in a leather folder. Mom made pot roast. The table was set like usual, but something felt off. Dad kept glancing at Derek. Mom touched her necklace nervously, the way she does when she has bad news. After we finished eating, Dad cleared his throat. "Boys, your mother and I have made a decision about the business." I sat up straighter. This was it, the moment I had been preparing for. Dad looked directly at Derek. "Derek, you are going to take over Johnson & Sons." Time stopped. I heard the words, but they did not make sense. Not "you both." Not "together." Just Derek. "You are the oldest," Dad continued. His voice sounded like it was coming from underwater. "You have natural leadership qualities. The customers trust you. A business needs one clear leader, not two. Too many cooks spoil the broth, you know." Then he turned to me. "Mario, you are great with numbers, son. But running a business needs more than spreadsheets. It needs personality. Derek has that. You will still have a role. Every CEO needs a strong operations manager. Operations manager, not partner, not co-owner, an employee, under my brother." My throat closed up. The pot roast sat heavy in my stomach. I tried to speak, but what could I say? I looked at Mom. She smiled that tight smile she uses when she wants everyone to stay calm. "What about everything I have done?" I finally managed. "The plans I made." "Those are good plans," Dad said. "Derek will definitely use your input." "Right, Derek." Derek grinned and reached across the table to clap my shoulder. "Do not worry, little brother. I will take care of you." The condescension in his voice hit me like a slap. I saw it in his eyes. Pride. Victory. He had won something I did not even know we were competing for. Mom squeezed my hand under the table. "You understand? Do not you, honey? This is what is best for the family. We need you to support Derek." I nodded, because what else could I do? Make a scene, argue? Beg them to see my worth. I excused myself, early claiming a headache. That night, I lay in bed, staring at my ceiling, feeling the weight of being second choice in my own family. 3 months later, I understood what they had really given Derek. The title of CEO came with a $20,000 raise, a company car, his name on the door. What I got was the same salary and a desk facing the wall. Derek announced his new position with a party that cost $30,000 from the company account. Catering open bar, a banner that read, "New Era for Johnson & Sons." I stood in the corner, watching him toast himself. The changes started immediately. Derek hired his ex-girlfriend as his personal assistant at $60,000 a year. She had no experience in our industry, but Derek said she understood his vision. He redesigned our logo and website without consulting anyone, dropping $15,000 with a marketing agency. When I mentioned we were over budget for the quarter, he waved me off. "Stop being so negative, Mario. We need to think big. Dad played it too safe. That is why we never grew past 3 locations." But we were not growing. We were bleeding. Derek came in at 10 and left by 3. Meetings stretched for hours while he brainstormed disruptive innovations that had nothing to do with hardware supply. He started spending weekends in Seattle, claiming he was networking with potential investors. I never saw any investors. One afternoon, I prepared a presentation about cutting unnecessary expenses. I had spreadsheets, charts, everything documented, Derek listened for maybe 5 minutes before standing up. "Who is the boss here, Mario?" He said it loud enough for everyone in the office to hear. "I do not remember making you CEO. Dad gave this company to me. If you cannot support my vision, maybe you should think about whether this is the right place for you." My face burned. 10 employees stared at their desks, pretending they had not heard. After that, Derek stopped, including me, in important meetings. I found out about major decisions through office gossip. The message was clear. Know your place. 3 months in, I ran the numbers. Profit was down 23%. Our operating costs had jumped 40%. Two of our oldest suppliers started demanding payment up front because Derek had been late on invoices. I stayed late every night trying to plug holes in a sinking ship. At home, I barely slept. I kept thinking maybe Dad was right. Maybe I was too cautious. Maybe you do need more than spreadsheets and good ideas. Maybe I just was not cut out for this. That thought sat in my chest like a stone. But another thought started growing underneath it. Quieter at first, then louder. If they do not value what I bring, why am I still here? I did not have an answer yet. But life was about to force me to find one. 2 years passed. 2 years of watching something I loved slowly die. I was 22 years old and felt like I had aged a decade. Johnson & Sons was barely recognizable. Revenue had dropped 45%. We had closed one location, then a second. From 3 thriving stores to 1 struggling shop. From 24 employees to 12 anxious people who knew their jobs hung by a thread. Our bank debt hit $350,000. Derek spent the first year chasing what he called opportunities. He signed a contract with a new supplier who offered prices 20% lower than our usual partners. It sounded great until the first shipment arrived. The quality was garbage. 2x4s that warped within weeks. Screws that stripped on first use. Our reputation built over 3 generations crumbled as customers returned products and took their business elsewhere. Derek blamed supply chain issues, market conditions, the economy, never himself. In the second year, he decided we needed to upgrade our image. He leased a fancy office downtown, $8,000 a month, all glass and exposed brick. We moved our administrative staff there, while our actual warehouse sat half empty in the industrial district. The new office impressed exactly no one. We were a hardware supplier. Our customers were contractors in dusty boots. They did not care about our aesthetics. Then Derek bought himself a brand new pickup truck. $55,000 cherry red leather interior. "It is for business," he announced. "Clients need to see we are successful. It is a networking vehicle." I saw him drive it to the golf course more than to any client meeting. Meanwhile, I worked 80-hour weeks just to keep us afloat. I renegotiated payment terms with creditors basically begging for extensions. I let go of our accounting staff and did the books myself to save money. I cut every corner that could be cut without compromising the quality Derek had already destroyed. Every time I brought Derek a hard truth, he rejected it. "We are not a failing business, Mario. We are in a temporary setback. You are too pessimistic. That has always been your problem." I tried going to Dad. 4 times I drove to my parents' house with financial reports. 4 times Dad said the same thing. "Derek will figure it out. He just needs time. Stop micromanaging your brother." Mom said, "Do not be so hard on Derek. He is under a lot of pressure." Pressure. I was the one staying until midnight. I was the one facing angry suppliers. But sure, Derek was under pressure. The breaking point came on a Tuesday. I discovered Derek had withdrawn $20,000 in cash from the business account. No receipt, no explanation, just gone. I found him in his glass office, feet up on his desk, scrolling through his phone. "We need to talk about this withdrawal," I said, keeping my voice level. He did not even look up. I needed it for an investment opportunity. What opportunity? We are 3 months behind on payroll taxes. Mind your own business. Something snapped. This is my business. I have been bleeding for this company. Derek finally looked at me. No, it is my business. Dad gave it to me, remember? You are just the operations guy. So operate and stop questioning me. I stood there shaking. Not from anger anymore. From clarity. I could work 100-hour weeks. I could save every penny. I could be perfect. And it would never matter. Because in their eyes, I would always be less than. That night, I sat alone in the office at 3 a.m. The building was silent except for the hum of old fluorescent lights. I thought about the last 2 years, the disrespect, the dismissals, the slow death of everything my grandfather had built. And I thought about my own life disappearing into this black hole. I made my decision. The next morning, I typed my resignation letter. 2 sentences. Effective immediately, I am resigning from Johnson & Sons. I wish you the best. I printed 3 copies. One for Derek, one for Dad, one for my records. I found them together in Derek's office, probably discussing another brilliant idea. I laid the letters on the desk. I am leaving. Derek laughed. Leaving for where? Lunch? Leaving the company? I am done. The laugh died. You cannot leave. Who is going to handle operations? That is not my problem anymore. I watched it hit him, the panic in his eyes. Derek knew. He knew the company could not survive without me. But his pride would not let him admit it. Dad had driven over for the meeting. He stood up, face red. You are abandoning your family after everything we have done for you. You gave me a job, I said quietly. I wanted to be valued. There is a difference. We gave you a job. What more do you want? I wanted to be seen. But you made your choice 2 years ago. Mom arrived within 20 minutes. She must have gotten a call. She grabbed my arm, tears streaming. What about loyalty? Family comes first. I thought so too, I said. But apparently family only matters when it is convenient. Derek tried anger next. Fine. Leave. We do not need you anyway. I will hire someone better. I looked at him. Really looked at him. I saw the fear underneath the bravado. Good luck, I said. I walked back to my desk and packed my belongings into 2 cardboard boxes. A photo of Grandpa at the original store. My college diploma. A coffee mug. Not much to show for 6 years. I carried the boxes through the office. People watched, but no one spoke. What could they say? In my car, I sat with my hands on the steering wheel. And then I cried. Not sad crying. Release crying. I rolled down the windows and pulled onto the highway. For the first time in 2 years, I felt like I could breathe. 3 months later, my phone rang at 9 p.m. Dad. I almost did not answer. Mario, we need to talk about the business. His voice sounded strained. What about it? It is not doing well. We might have to close. I was thinking, could you come back? Help Derek out? I let the silence stretch. Does Derek know you are calling me? He is. Open to it. I left for a reason, Dad. I know. But this is family. We need you. You needed me 2 years ago. You chose Derek. We made a mistake, okay? Is that what you want to hear? Maybe it was. Once, but not anymore. I will think about it, I said, and ended the call. I did not think about it. I knew if I went back, nothing would change. Derek would still be CEO. I would still be the helper. They wanted my labor without giving me respect. That was not family. That was exploitation. But I did think about something else. Sitting in my small apartment that night, looking at my empty bank account, I thought about a different question. What if I built something of my own? What if instead of saving their sinking ship, I built my own boat? That question changed everything. I had $32,000 in savings. That was it. 6 years of work, and that was all I had managed to save. Most people would call that crazy startup capital. I called it possibility. I spent 2 weeks researching. Not just casual browsing, deep research. I analyzed market trends, studied competitors, identified gaps. Johnson & Sons sold traditional building materials to traditional contractors. That market was saturated and price competitive. But there was a growing segment nobody was serving properly. Green builders. Architects specializing in sustainable design. Contractors who wanted eco-friendly materials but could not find reliable suppliers who understood both quality and environmental impact. I called my new company Verde Supply Solutions. It felt right, fresh, different. Everything Johnson & Sons was not. Month 1. I worked from my apartment. My bedroom became my office. My kitchen table became my warehouse planning center. I contacted specialty suppliers, reclaimed wood manufacturers, companies making insulation from recycled materials, solar installation equipment distributors. I built a business plan so detailed I could see every dollar moving through the system. I pitched 3 small investors I had met during my consulting work. They each put in around $17,000. Suddenly, I had $83,000 total. Enough to start. Month 4. I signed a lease on a small warehouse in the industrial district. $2,500 a month. It was not fancy. Concrete floors, metal walls that made it an oven in summer and a freezer in winter. But it was mine. I hired one part-time assistant, a kid named Jake, who was studying business at community college. He reminded me of myself at that age. Eager, hardworking, underestimated. "Why did you hire me?" Jake asked on his first day. "I do not have experience." "Neither did I when I started," I said. "But I bet you will show up on time and care about doing good work. That is more valuable than you think." I built a simple website myself, watching YouTube tutorials until 2 in the morning. It was not beautiful, but it was functional and professional. I focused on what I knew Derek never understood: customer service. I answered emails within 2 hours. I returned calls the same day. I personally delivered the first dozen orders, using them as opportunities to consult with clients about their projects. My first real customer was a contractor named Tom Reeves. He specialized in green renovations. He called asking about FSC-certified lumber. I not only had it, I spent 40 minutes on the phone explaining different grade certifications and cost-benefit analyses. When I delivered his order, I included samples of 3 other products I thought might help his projects. Tom called me 2 days later. "Nobody has ever done that before." Treated me like my business mattered. "It does matter," I said. "I am telling everyone I know about you." And he did. Word of mouth became my marketing department. Every satisfied customer told 2 more. Those 2 told 2 more. I was not spending money on advertisements or fancy offices. I was building reputation through actual service. The work was brutal. 16-hour days, 7 days a week. I ate instant ramen because it was cheap and fast. I drove a 12-year-old sedan that burned oil. I unloaded trucks myself, delivered orders myself, swept the warehouse myself. Some nights, I just slept on a cot in the back office because driving home seemed like wasted time. But here is the thing. I was not miserable. Every morning, I woke up excited. Every problem was mine to solve. Every success was mine to own. Nobody was dismissing my ideas or taking credit for my work. When a client thanked me, they were thanking me, not my family name. 1 year in Verde Supply hit $500,000 in revenue, $75,000 in profit. I hired 5 full-time employees. We expanded the warehouse. I bought a newer used truck for deliveries. Nothing flashy. Everything functional. Year 2, we hit $1.2 million in revenue. I opened a second distribution center. We partnered with a major green building project downtown, supplying materials for a 20-story apartment complex designed to be carbon neutral. The local business journal ran a story. The Rise of Verde Supply, one man's sustainable success story. They interviewed me, asked about my background. I kept it vague. I grew up in the industry, learned what worked and what did not. The journalist pushed. Your family is in hardware supply too, right, Johnson and Sons? They were, I said carefully, different business model. I did not tell them Johnson and Sons had just closed their second to last location, that Derek was drowning, that Dad had called me twice more asking for help. I did not need to tell that story. My success spoke louder than their failure. Year 3. Verde Supply broke $3 million in revenue. 15 employees. We expanded into Washington State. I got invited to speak at an industry conference about sustainable supply chain management. Standing on that stage looking at 200 people taking notes on my words, I thought about that Sunday dinner 5 years ago, when Dad said I did not have personality, that I was too cautious, too analytical. Turns out, being analytical was exactly what I needed. And my personality, it was just fine. It just did not fit their idea of leadership. Then came the call I had been half expecting. A Thursday evening, I was reviewing quarterly projections when my phone rang. Mom. I debated not answering, but curiosity won. Mario, honey, we need your help. Her voice cracked. She was crying. What is wrong? The business, Johnson and Sons. We are going to lose it. We are filing for bankruptcy unless we can find $150,000. Your father is too proud to ask, but we heard about your success. You are doing so well, and we are so proud of you. And we thought maybe... I closed my eyes. You want me to invest in Johnson and Sons? Or loan us the money? Or maybe you could merge your company with ours. Derek is still CEO, of course, but you would be like a partner, and together you could... Mom, stop. She stopped. Has anything changed? Is Derek willing to change how he runs things? Silence. Then he is trying his best. That is not an answer. Would I have any actual authority in decisions? Another pause. Derek is still the CEO, but you would be a partner. Your input would matter. So I give money and work, but Derek still makes all the calls. Mario, please. We are desperate. Give me a week, I said. I spent that week doing what I do best. Analysis. Mom emailed me their financial records. It was worse than I thought. Even with $150,000, they would last maybe 6 months. The fundamental problem was not money. It was management. Derek had not changed. He was still making the same mistakes, just with a smaller budget. I ran projections. Every scenario ended the same way. Failure. Unless Derek stepped down or completely changed his approach, which Mom had made clear, was not on the table. Any money I put in would be what people call throwing good money after bad. I called Mom back on day 6. I cannot do it, Mom. What Mario, please? The problem is not money. It is leadership. Unless Derek steps down or agrees to fundamental changes, it will not work. You are asking your brother to step down from his own company. It was never his company. It was Dad's. And Dad gave it to someone who could not handle it. I am sorry, but I will not light my money on fire to delay the inevitable. She started crying harder. So you are going to let us lose everything? No, Mom. You already lost it. I am just not going to lose what I built trying to save something that is already gone. She hung up. Dad called an hour later, angrier than I had ever heard him. We argued for 20 minutes. He called me selfish, ungrateful, disloyal. I listened until he ran out of steam. Are you done? I asked. This is not the son I raised. You are right, I said. The son you raised would have said yes, would have sacrificed everything for family approval. But I am not that person anymore. I hope you understand someday. 2 days later, Derek left me a voicemail. His voice was different, smaller. Mario, look, I know we had our differences, but I need your help. Our help. The family needs you. Call me back. I listened to it 3 times. I heard the desperation. Part of me wanted to help. But I knew better. I had learned that lesson at a very high cost. So I did not call back. Instead, I sent an email. Attached to it was a brochure from our local credit union about small business loans, information about business restructuring consultants, free resources from the Small Business Administration, and a short message. Here are some resources that might help. These are the tools business owners use when they need solutions. Good luck. Derek called immediately, screaming, "A loan brochure! Are you kidding me? I need real help." That is real help, I said calmly. It is what you do when you are a business owner. You find solutions. I am your brother, and I was yours. But you treated me like an employee you could ignore. Now I am treating you like a businessman who needs to solve his own problems. He hung up. My parents stopped calling after that. I heard through former employees that Johnson & Sons closed completely 6 months later. Derek declared bankruptcy. Mom and Dad retired living on Social Security and whatever savings they had left. They lost the family legacy. 3 generations gone. I wish I could say I felt triumphant. I did not. I felt sad. Sad that it came to this. Sad that pride destroyed what could have been saved if anyone had listened years ago. But I did not feel guilty. I had offered them truth when it could have made a difference. They chose comfort over reality. That was not my burden to carry. Now sitting in my new office at Verde Supply headquarters, looking at financial reports showing $4 million in projected revenue, I understand something. They gave our family business to my brother. For years, I thought that was the end of my story. It felt like rejection, like I was not good enough. But it was not the end. It was the beginning. Because when they stopped believing in me, I finally started believing in myself. And that made all the difference. A year passed after that text message from Mom, the urgent one I had ignored. Verde Supply continued growing. We hit $4.2 million in revenue opened our third distribution center. I was 28 years old and employed 32 people. People whose families depended on the paycheck I signed. That responsibility felt good. It felt earned. Then Derek showed up at my office without warning. My receptionist called back, sounding uncertain. "There is someone here to see you. He says he is your brother." I could have said I was busy. I could have avoided it. But I was not that person anymore. "Send him back." He looked different, thinner, tired. His clothes were cheaper than I remembered. The swagger was gone. He stood in my doorway, like he was not sure he was allowed to enter. "Can I come in?" "Sure." He sat across from my desk, looked around at the photos on my wall. Verde Supply milestones, ribbon cuttings, that business journal article framed. He studied them for a long moment. "Nice place?" he said. "Thanks." Silence. He was gathering courage. I waited. I came to say I am sorry. I had imagined this moment 100 times. In some versions I yelled. In some, I gloated. In reality, I just felt empty. "Okay." "No, I mean it." He leaned forward. When the company collapsed, I had to face reality. I was arrogant. I did not know anything about running a business. I just thought I did. And every time something went wrong, I blamed someone else. The economy, the suppliers, you sometimes. He laughed bitterly. I blamed everyone except myself. "Derek, let me finish. You were right about everything. Every warning you gave me. Every suggestion you made. You were holding that company together, and I treated you like garbage. And I did it because I was scared. Scared that if people saw how much you contributed, they would see how little I brought. So I kept you down to make myself feel up." His voice cracked. "I am sorry, Mario, for all of it." I believed him. I could see he meant it. But here is what I realized in that moment. I did not need his apology anymore. Years ago, it would have meant everything. Now I had built something that proved my worth to the only person who mattered, myself. "I appreciate you saying that," I told him. "I really do. Can we start over, as brothers?" I thought about it. Honestly thought about it. Maybe someday. But right now, I need space. I forgive you. But forgiveness does not mean forgetting, or going back to how things were. He nodded slowly, stood up. "I understand. For what it is worth, I am proud of you. I know I never said it before, but this," he gestured around, "this is incredible. You did this on your own. Thank you. I wish things had been different." Me too. After he left, I sat alone for a while, thinking about the path that led here. The early days were brutal. Not just physically, though I worked myself to exhaustion. Emotionally brutal. Those first months after I left Johnson & Sons, I questioned everything. Was I good enough? Was I too sensitive? Should I have tried harder to make it work? Every rejection letter from investors, every slow sales day, every moment of doubt felt like confirmation that maybe Dad was right. Maybe I was not cut out for this. But slowly, things changed. Not just externally, with Verde Supply growing. Internally, I started to see myself differently. Jake, my first employee, became a friend. He saw me as a mentor, someone who gave him a chance when no one else would. Tom Reeves, that first customer, told other contractors about me. They trusted my advice, valued my expertise. Every interaction was evidence that I had worth outside of my family's opinion. I learned to set boundaries. When Dad called asking for money, I said no. When Mom tried to guilt me into helping Derek, I stayed firm. It hurt. I still loved them, but I loved myself more. And that was not selfish. That was survival. Building Verde Supply taught me something crucial. Your worth is not determined by who chooses you. It is determined by what you choose to build with your own hands. For years, I waited for Dad to see my value, for Derek to respect me, for Mom to defend me. I gave them power over my self-worth. When I took that power back and put it into building something of my own, everything changed. I also learned that blood makes you related, but loyalty makes you family. My employees showed me more loyalty in 3 years than my actual family did in 20. Jake worked through holidays when we had a big order. Sarah, my logistics coordinator, stayed late to help me figure out a supply chain problem, even though it was not her job. Tom Reeves sent me referrals without asking for anything in return. That was family. Support without condition. Respect without having to beg for it. Success is not about proving doubters wrong. It is about proving yourself right. When Verde Supply hit its first million, I did not call my parents to brag. I did not send Derek a screenshot of my revenue. What would be the point? My success was not about them. It was about me finally believing I was capable. Every milestone was proof that my instincts were sound. My skills were valuable. My caution was not weakness. It was wisdom. And here is the hardest lesson. You cannot save someone who does not want to be saved. I spent 2 years trying to save Johnson & Sons, trying to save Derek from his own bad decisions, trying to save my parents from the consequences of their favoritism. All I did was drown myself in their dysfunction. When I finally let go, I did not just survive. I thrived. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do is step back and let people face their own reality, even when it hurts to watch. Freedom is not getting what was denied to you. It is building something better and realizing you never needed it in the first place. I thought I needed my family business. I thought I needed their approval. But all I really needed was faith in myself and the courage to walk away when I was not valued. That was freedom. Now I stand in this office looking out at the city lights. The Verde Supply sign glows outside. My sign, my company, my legacy. I think about that scared 20-year-old who sat through dinner while his father chose his brother. I wish I could go back and tell him what I know now. That rejection is redirection. That being underestimated is sometimes the best gift because it removes pressure and lets you build in peace. That the empire you build yourself will always mean more than the kingdom handed to you. My phone buzzes. A text from Jake. New client just signed. 6-figure contract. You are amazing, boss. I smile. No, we are amazing. This whole team that believed in a vision and worked to make it real. I think about Derek's apology. It was genuine. Maybe someday we will rebuild a relationship. Maybe not. Either way, I am okay. I do not need his validation anymore. I do not need anyone's. I have my own. So let me ask you something. Have you ever felt like the second choice in your own family? Have you worked for recognition that never came? Drop a comment below and share your story. You are not alone. If this resonated with you, hit that like button. Subscribe to this channel because I share more stories about overcoming adversity and building the life you deserve. And share this with someone who needs to hear it, someone who is still waiting for permission to bet on themselves. Thank you for listening to my story. It was not easy to live through, and it was not easy to tell. But if it helps even one person find the courage to walk away from what does not serve them and build what does, it was worth it. Remember, sometimes the best inheritance is not what is given to you. It is what you build from nothing when no one is watching. Keep building, keep believing, and never let anyone else determine your worth. Take care, and I will see you in the next one.